Welcome back, I'm Tedward, and today we're driving a sleeper mom-mobile. This is a 2018 Audi SQ5 in beautiful green. It has 354 horsepower, 369 pound-feet of torque, directing its power through an 8-speed torque converter ZF automatic. No dual clutch here. This is when Audi decided, hey man, maybe we got to go back to the basics and make these really good again and not have slipping clutch discs, because they had big problems with that. If you've had a GTI or a Golf R and you've tuned it even a little bit, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, this has all-wheel drive, and it normally sends 60% of its power to the rear, 40 to the front, but it can obviously change that based on needs. I think it can send up to 70% of its power to the front if needed. In the rear, it has a torque vectoring rear differential. Very cool. So this thing should handle. It'll do 0 to 60 in about 5 seconds, and it has a 3-liter V6 with a twin scroll turbo. This is one of the coolest sort of normal people's car because it's not wildly expensive. I think they started around 55 grand. You'd get them up to around 65, 70. And I know that sounds like it's not nothing, but like today, a Honda Prologue is like 60 G's. You know, electric stuff is starting to show us that you can get really expensive on what should be very normal cars. And what I like about these cars is that they're well appointed. This is a clever interior. So sure, you can say, oh, it's a hot Volkswagen, but you can also say it's a cheaper Porsche, because the Macan is going to cost you a heck of a lot more money. And you get a really nice interior with sporty stuff, carbon fiber accents, some Alcantara where you don't need to touch it and ruin it. Thankfully, they did leather wrapped steering wheels instead of Alcantara, because that just all gets junky. And you know, it's a normal sort of mid-size car. You get a little armrest here with some cup holders. You've got heated outboard seats for your rear passengers. And what I like about the car is that, yes, it has LCD screens. That one's kind of tacked onto the dashboard. However, it's all very simple and ergonomic. You still have knobs and switches and buttons, and it's easy to operate. I don't drive a whole lot of Audis, and some of the brand new stuff can get a little bit complicated. I think this really strikes the right balance, and hopefully auto manufacturers start to go back to that a little bit. Around the back, this green is so good. It does not have a dual exhaust thing. It looks like it does. That's a little chintzy. And I think sometimes Volkswagen products, they really love to use like design cues to show things off. When you open this cavernous large rear hatch, reasonable space, but hey, look at this. Ready? As I knock my camera over, a spare tire. Oh, the luxury. Let's bring spare tires back again. That's what we really need. And my friend who owns this car is going to be selling it on Cars and Bids, I believe. I just did the photos for it. Has these clever 034 Motorsports wheels, and I think he's even lowered it a little bit. But remember, this is on air suspension. It actually rises and lowers. Right now it's in dynamic mode, so it looks a little hot, a little low, a little good. I like that. It's fun. So let's just get in and take it for a ride and see what it's like, because it does sound pretty darn good. And ooh, kind of digging this sort of like brushed aluminum trim vibe. Oh, let me show you under the hood real quick before we go. What am I thinking? Oh, and there she is in typical Audi fashion, set nice and healthily in front of the front axle. They always do that. It's funny when you get under here because you've got this just computer right front and center with heat sinks and everything. It's just interesting to me when you're like, whoa, that feels like I should see that, but no. Also, something that's nice, they give you really good access to certain things. Like, for example, here is your brake fluid. Lovely. There's some cars where, like, to change brake fluid, you've got to like dissect the entire engine bay just to like check or adjust or, you know, flush out your brake fluid. It's very annoying. Let's close her up, take it for a ride. Oh goodness, I do love these like brushed aluminum mirrors. That is such a symbol of the S brand, and hopefully this car is worthy. To start it up, got a key here. Lovely key, honestly, kind of like that. Nice little pocket here. That sounds pretty good. Get in a dynamic mode. Let's see how it gets off the line. We're in sport mode, we're in dynamic mode. I'm just gonna mat it. We're not gonna do a launch control. it's plenty quick. It's not gonna knock your socks off, but they are tunable. So if you do need more than this, you can get it. The beauty of this car is that it has a relatively stiff chassis that is pretty eager to change direction and turn. So it's mated to the proper amount of power. It's not overkill. And the beauty of an SQ5 is as we approach CRV traffic, I mean, that's basically the same segment in terms of size. Obviously a much less expensive car and not as sports focused. So this is the thing. Yes, if money is the issue, then sure, you buy yourself the CRV, but you can option out a CRV pretty high. You get a used SQ5, you can still haul the kids around, put the stuff in the back, do the weekend trips. But you can also go up to the canyons and carve some corners when you need to, and you don't need to have a second car. Maybe you don't have the space for it, maybe you don't have the money for it, maybe you don't have the time for it. Cars like this really like open the door to the family dude or family gal who also wants to enjoy their car. They want to have fun. They like driving. And I'm not saying if you own a CRV you don't like driving, but I am saying like that's a front wheel drive car. Objectively, it has all-wheel drive. It'll send some power to the rear when needed, but it's not actually a sporty thing. Whereas this, it's a sporty powertrain, a sporty chassis, and it has a funky rear diff that's going to get you in some trouble, which, you know, the right kind of trouble. While we're on this road, this is kind of a quiet, sleepy road that usually has a fun speed trap. Put it in comfort mode, it's gonna raise itself up a little bit. I guess I can't speak. I feel like I'm getting yelled at by my dad, asking him to raise the seat on my bicycle. Can you higher the seat? Kiddo, you're 4, but it's not higher, it's raise. Anyway, a little more body roll. Dulls the throttle response a bit. You can feel it kind of compress over those bumps, but it takes it, it's not undulating. It decided I was too close to him as he was making that turn, so it says Audi Presense, like, hit the brakes, dum-dum. I find it pretty impressive just the way it distributes power. There's never a sensation that it's going to lose traction or grip. I mean, I guess if you threw it into a corner too hard. But there's like seemingly no situation in which you're taking a turn and accelerating, especially from a dig. It just appropriates that power and vectors it where it needs to go in a way that you're always going to launch off the line in a pretty consistent fashion. You're not just going to go up in a bunch of tire smoke, spinning an inside rear in a corner or anything like that. No, it really puts it where it belongs, which is just really fun when you pull up to a light next to a sports car. This thing's going to dust it off the line. Brakes are pretty phenomenal as well. That's the thing, is the total package, it's definitely built by people who like to drive. The steering is a little numb. I'm not getting a ton of tactility through there, but I'm not so worried about it just because I've got some pretty meaty rubber up front anyway, so they're not going anywhere. You'll notice once in a while that the windshield wipers move. They just kind of bob up and down for a second. Now, This is something I've noticed on Porsches in the past. I've always thought, like, is that some weird, like, VW ownership group type of electrical gremlin? What's going on? But as it turns out, it is programmed into the wipers to do that. So that way, the blades do not sit too long in the same spot. Apparently, it enhances the life of your wiper blades. So there's actually a thought process behind this. Out here on the highway, it rides pretty nicely. In comfort mode, I think I'm chasing the car just a little bit. It numbs things a little bit, so it's like, it's not wandering. I think it's just that, like, when I put in an input, it feels like it's like a little bit of body roll, a little bit of damping from the steering. It just doesn't feel super dialed in. I prefer the way it drives in dynamic mode because of that. But I believe we must be in 8th gear right now, 60 miles an hour, 1500 RPM. This thing is definitely geared to be as efficient as possible when you're out on the highway doing the road trip thing. A little bit more road noise than I think I would anticipate. This isn't the best quality highway. Could be tires. My Lexus GX, not a comparable vehicle, but that rides a bit quieter, definitely some more insulation. So this SQ5 certainly is going to transmit a little bit of road noise through the cabin. If you're looking for like that super duper premium, A8 style kind of thing, you're not going to get it from here, but it's very much acceptable. So that's my quick and dirty first impressions on an SQ5. I haven't driven one in a while, and I think this is a really good spot in the used market right now. If you're looking for something that kind of does it all as a single car solution, and you need to haul some people around, and you don't want to have to get your kids in and out of a sedan, or you don't want to drive the minivan and the CRV, this really does kind of operate as a do-it-all enthusiast vehicle. So I understand my friend Eli of Ignition Tube has had one of these, or I think he just sold it, but he loved it. And he had it all tuned up to go up to the drag strip, and he was like smoking people in his SQ5. So I get it. I say buy more green cars, put light interiors in your things, take some chances on spec. Don't just go silver, black, and boring. No. Coming from me, who has 2 white cars and basically 2 black cars, I regret it a little bit. I don't regret the white cars. I like those. But, just try to have fun with your stuff, man. I like that Audi lets you express yourself in more than just the German rainbow of white, black, and silver. So thank you so much for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing. Don't forget to respect the drive, and I'll see you in the next one.